It's a very good evening and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi. Now, President Jacob Zuma gave his State of the Nation address in the last week. Technology was a huge part of the president's address. A lot of people around the world were frustrated when Facebook went offline on Thursday. They took to Twitter to vent about this. I'm sure a lot of bosses, though, were happy as there could be more production for those few minutes. Tonight in the studio, we are joined by Jonathan Houston, who will tell us about Deloitte's Technology Fast50 Africa. We'll also talk to one South African who has applied to move to Mars. We are live. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. We are on News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Let's get to your social media and technology news. Microsoft, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, and the Department of Science and Technology in South Africa have launched the TV Whitespace Center at the University of Limpopo. Network's Lebusi Jake was there to find out exactly what these TV Whitespaces are.
The internet carries a mammoth of information. That's what excites pupils at Duasho Secondary School in Mankweng, Limpopo. Today, they are being shown a new high-tech center that will make learning easier for them.
I think it's going to change the way I learn because it is going to be easier for me to get to the internet, not just by going to the copy shop because it's too far.
So right here at the rural area, first we don't have electricity and we have to travel 5 kilometers to the nearest internet cafe.
Microsoft has teamed up with the CSIR as well as the Department of Science and Technology in a project to roll out TV white spaces in schools right here in Limpopo. What are these TV white spaces I speak of, you ask? Well, let me leave it to the experts to explain.
Yes, sometimes we get lost in all of these big fancy words. At the end of the day, this project is all about bringing affordable internet access to rural communities.
Okay.
This is really about enabling those communities to leverage the power of technology to help themselves to lift themselves out of the poverty situations that they are finding themselves in today.
This happens as affordable internet is connected through unused gaps between TV channels in the ultra-high frequency spectrum. It does sound complicated, but that's what TV white spaces are. The University of Limpopo has suffered major internet connectivity problems in the past. That's another reason this project will help here.
We're starting with education, but we're looking at further moving this into the health space, and from health then into business, into agriculture, so that we can assist our emerging farmers with monitoring and giving them advice using this broadband connectivity.
This will then make teaching both in local schools and at the university a little easier.
South African President Jacob Zuma delivered his second State of the Nation address on Tuesday. The president's focal point was on the country's economy, as well as the administration's plans to lower the staggering unemployment rate. He also highlighted the need to improve the country's information and communication sectors.
We will expand, modernize, and increase the affordability of information and communications infrastructure and electronic communication services, including broadband and digital broadcasting. Cabinet adopted South Africa Connect, our broadband policy and strategy.
A syndicate made up of 5 people has been released on bail after stealing over 8 million rand. They hacked in the Road Traffic Management Corporation RTMC bank account. The arrest came after a syndicate used key logging software to steal the money.
The syndicate is reportedly made of a married couple and at least 3 other people. It's alleged that they splashed 8.7 million of their loot at shopping centers across Gauteng before they were arrested. According to media reports, they were able to steal money after a rogue insider at the RTMC installed key-logging hardware on computers used for internet banking. The hardware gave criminals access to usernames and passwords, which they then used to log on to the corporation's First National Bank account to siphon off money. Bisa Bileni, CEO of Center for Information Security, says cybercriminals are attracted to money.
Today, the amount of money stolen using cybercrime is more than illegal drugs, combined, marijuana, crack, all kinds of combined, cybercrime makes big money. So they're going where there's money.
He also says cybercrime is a national security threat and law enforcement officers are not trained to deal with it.
Should have a strong training for police, magistrate, because the cyber criminals know that if you are caught today, the judge will not give you a very heavy sentencing.
Nigerian banks face extreme cybercrime. That's according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. The reports that last year alone, banks in the country lost more than 2.6 billion rand to cybercrime. As a result of that, the Central Bank of Nigeria is advising banks and companies in the country to tighten cybersecurity. Methods used by these cyber criminals include web phishing, network intrusion, and emails that ask for details. The bank also says the government needs to be stricter on how it deals with the problem and create frameworks that will make it easy to help banks fight the problem. It's still Youth Month in South Africa, and we continue to celebrate young Africans. Up next, we go to Cameroon to check out the cardiopad. It was developed by 22-year-old Arthur Zhang. Until recently, heart patients in rural Cameroon had to travel long distances for routine tests. Now they can visit the smallest of local hospitals thanks to the cardiopad, a medical touchscreen tablet created by local entrepreneur 22-year-old Arthur Zhang. Bankomo Hospital Dr. Njomomba carries out tests such as electrocardiograms on the cardiopad and transmits the results to a specialist located elsewhere.
Here in Bankomo, we treat patients with heart problems without them having to go to Yaoundé for treatment. This device allows us to examine them here and to perform the electrocardiogram, then send it to a specialist who then sends back the final results.
Arthur Zhang's company hopes to equip 100 rural hospitals throughout Cameroon. The next challenge is to build a solar-powered version to cope with the lack of electricity prevalent in many areas across the continent. Hundreds of music videos could soon disappear off YouTube. This is because YouTube says it's about to launch a music subscription service. Now, some independent musicians who aren't signed to major labels say the new plan doesn't favor them, and there's a possibility many would refuse to get into that agreement with YouTube.
There's a fire starting in my heart.
Internationally, the best-selling musician of recent times is Adele. She is an independent musician as she isn't signed to any major label. Her music videos are some of the most viewed on the video streaming site YouTube. Now there's a possibility that her music, as well as that of Arctic Monkeys, Vampire Weekend and other bands, could disappear off YouTube. This is because the streaming site is having trouble reaching royalty agreements with some independent labels. YouTube's new service is reported to be in its final stages of planning. Their new method would operate in the way Spotify and other premium subscription sites operate. You'd have to pay for what you watch. If YouTube and independent labels fail to reach an agreement, then you'd have to go to other sites to find some of your favorite musicians.
Amazon has entered the highly competitive smartphone market. The online retailer showed off its smartphone on Wednesday in its hometown of Seattle in the United States. Called the Amazon Fire, the main talking point of the phone is the so-called dynamic perspective feature. This allows the phone to alter the perspective of whatever's on the screen based on the angle at which you're viewing it. The three-dimensional images appear to protrude from the screen, with the angle of a protrusion shifting based on the position of the user's head relative to the display. But the great marketing strategy for Amazon is to get users buying from its online store. All of its smartphones are set up to encourage you to buy content from Amazon, whether it's e-books, music, TV shows, or movies. The retail price is expected to start at around 2,000 Rand. All right, so let's take a short break, and we're talking to Deloitte after that.
Across the globe, the continent and the entire country, every second there's always a breaking story. SABC News is your reliable eye, ear and information system in bringing you events as they happen. Our cutting-edge and hard-hitting journalism leaves no stone unturned, giving you the whole picture every time. Join us every day on SABC3 and know what is happening around you. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
The Kenyan actress is the first from her country to win an Academy Award. Her Best Actress Oscar win has inspired many in Kenya.
Nyong'o's victory has made the headlines in all of the country's newspapers. This was Nyong'o's first role in a film after she had completed postgraduate studies in America.
Players in South Africa's music industry will attend the Music Exchange program in Cape Town, South Africa.
We as Africans, we have to embrace what is unique about us and about our music.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays, 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Welcome back. Now, we constantly talk about how fast African economies are growing. Now, Deloitte is looking for the 50 fastest growing technology companies in Africa. They're calling this initiative the Technology Fast50 Africa. Joining us in the studio to talk about this is Jonathan Houston, who is the technology manager at Deloitte. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network.
Evening, thank you.
Now, why have you decided to do this?
So what we're trying to do is essentially give young entrepreneurs and businesses a leg up to help find the next Mark Shuttleworth in terms of technology business in Africa. One of the things that we've realized is that SMEs, and specifically technology SMEs, are critical to the growth of not only the South African economy, but the economy in general. So we're trying to help give them a leg up and make sure that they're visible on a global platform.
So what's the process?
Process is quite simple. Entrepreneurs who want to get involved can go onto our website, fast50africa.com. That's a numerical 50. Go and read through the information that's on there. Fill in the questionnaire, which is a short form which asks them a couple of easy questions. That then comes through to us, and we start ranking them based on their revenue.
Once we have that, once they've entered the competition, what will the process be?
The process is quite simple. We start vetting and checking the information on our side to make sure that the information supplied is correct and accurate. And then it's simply looking at their revenue growth. One of the main criteria that we have is about revenue. And it's revenue growth over the last 5 years. Companies who want to enter need to be at least 5 years old, and they need to be African companies, African-owned as opposed to subsidiary companies from the US or the UK. And we're looking at their revenue over the last 5 years.
Now, this competition has been running across in other parts of the world.
Correct.
And it's the first time you bring it to Africa. Does your strategy then change in Africa?
Not particularly, no, because this rolls back up into our EMEA Fast 500 campaign. So the criteria that we're using is the same. So the steps that we put in place are the same. It's how we take it to market that might be slightly different.
Now, Africa is a big continent.
It is.
Are you afraid that you're not going to get to the right people who meet your criteria?
No, not at all. Our criteria aren't so stringent that they're not going to be able to. As I was saying, it's about revenue. So we need companies who have been in business for about 5 years or more. Their baseline revenues need to be at $70,000 and their current operating revenues need to be at $500,000. They need to be African companies, as I said. They need to be African-run businesses, and primarily they need to be technology businesses. We're trying to make sure that we improve the technology aspect of the country.
It's been successful in other parts of the world?
Absolutely.
And there are 500 companies that you're looking for around the world. Can you tell us about that project?
That's the EMEA side of it. So this Fast 50 rolls up into that EMEA Fast 500. So the EMEA section obviously covers Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and it's ranking the 500 fastest growing technology companies in that region.
Do they automatically get on it, or there's a different criteria?
So our Fast 50 automatically rolls up into that. So again, because it's based on revenue growth, the criteria is the same. So our Fast 50 list rolls up into that Fast 500.
All right, tell us again, where can they enter? What's the closing date?
They can find it on fast50africa.com. Closing date for nominations is the 31st of July.
All right. Jonathan Houston from Deloitte in South Africa. Thank you very much for being part of our network tonight.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now e-reading is becoming a growing trend, but some people still prefer to get contents from old-school paperback books. With the new Kindle paperback e-reader, it's quite clear to see that the technology world is working hard in trying to convert people to digital reading. Producer Lebo Sijage had first-hand experience with the new Kindle. Let's hear what she thinks of it.
To e-read or not to e-read? That is the question. Well, I solved this conundrum while spending time reading from Amazon's black and white paperback Kindle. And I should add that I thoroughly enjoyed reading from this device. The black and white monitor looks and feels like I'm reading from an actual book, except that I don't have to get my fingers wet in order to page through. Amazon's Kindle has been in existence since 2009 in the United States of America and other neighboring countries. That is about the time when digital reading migration was at its peak. This device is Wi-Fi enabled and also works using 3G data. The above makes it possible to purchase ebooks from Amazon.com. The only hassle is that one has to register on the site first before buying.
Africa is symbolized by these magnificent trees. The Sunland Big Baobab is carbon dated to be around 1,600 years old. When baobabs become 1,000 years old, they begin to hollow inside. In the Big Baobab, this has resulted in the world-famous Baobab Tree Bar.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. Now, for some years now, people on Earth have been in a contest to be selected to go live on the planet Mars. The project is managed by a non-profit organization based in the Netherlands called Mars One. The first 4 selected applicants will leave for the planet in the year 2022, but there is a surprising catch. They will never return to Earth, and their permanent stay on Mars will be televised for us back on Earth. Take a look.
1972 was the last time that humans walked on the moon. No human has ever gone as far as Mars. Mars One has designed a mission that is much simpler than previous designs for Mars missions. The most significant simplification is that the crew is actually going to stay and live on Mars with the intention to remain there for the rest of their lives.
We will finance this mission by creating the biggest media event ever around it. Everybody in the world can see everything that will happen in the preparations and on Mars.
This is going to be a media spectacle. Big Brother will pale in comparison. The whole world will be watching and experience this journey.
This is the plan. In 2016, a communication satellite and a supply mission will be sent to Mars. In 2018, a large planetary rover will be sent to Mars. It will drive around on Mars to find the best location for the settlement.
In 2020, living units, life support units, a rover, and more supplies will be sent to Mars. The rovers will prepare the settlement for human arrival. they will extract the inflatable section from the living unit. The life support unit will prepare the outpost for arrival of the humans. The crew will depart in September 2022, when the settlement is fully operational and habitable. They will be flying to Mars in a transit habitat with a lander attached to it.
7 months later, in April 2023, the humans will land on Mars, the next giant leap for mankind.
This project seems to be the only way to fulfill humanity's dream to explore outer space. It is going to be an exciting experiment. Let's get started.
19 South Africans are in the race to participate in this project. One of them is Adriana Marais, who is a quantum biologist. Adriana joins us from Cape Town. Adriana, welcome and thank you for being a part of our network tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello.
Now, Adriana, why is this so interesting to you?
Well, when I first read about the possibility to apply for this project in the newspaper, I felt a sense of terror and excitement because it wasn't even something that I wanted to do. I felt it was something that I was meant to do. So, yeah.
It's a one-way ticket. You would never return back to Earth if you go. Are you looking forward to that?
Well, that will, of course, be a difficult part of the mission, but this grand adventure is actually the culmination of 4 billion years of evolution. So since life has begun on planet Earth, this is the very first time that the opportunity for a life form from Earth to move to another planet and call that planet home is happening. And to be a part of this great idea is something that I would be prepared to sacrifice a lot for, even coming back to Earth, yes.
Do you know what their selection process is?
So in the beginning, there were over 200,000 applicants, which were narrowed down during round 2. We had to fill in various questionnaires and kind of lengthy answers online, as well as submit a video. So then we submitted medical reports, and now there are currently 705 round 2 candidates left worldwide. The next round will involve interviews, as I understand. So the Mars One representative will come to the region where each of the candidates is and interview them. And then there will be some stringent selection processes, which will involve, I guess, psychological, physical, and all sorts of other skill and ability and testing processes, yes.
How long has the selection process been and how long is it going to last, do you think?
I think that it rested on whether they had sold the TV rights. So I understand they've recently done that to Endemol, the same company that's broadcast Big Brother. So that has just recently been finished. So in 2015, the training will begin. The applications were finalized last year at the end of August. So it's already been nearly a year, but the training should begin soon.
You're a quantum biologist. Is that the reason you perhaps want to go?
Well, I think in a way my research has kind of led me up to this because one of the most fascinating questions that my research touches on is the question of what is life. So we look at quantum effects in biological systems, trying to understand how life works on a small scale. And this is fascinating with respect to Mars because we may even be able to find evidence of either life that existed previously or still exists on Mars. So as well as having all of the duties that you'll have on Mars in terms of maintaining equipment, the main exciting part for me would be to have the potential to be involved in possibly discovering that, in fact, life has not been confined to Earth and may have, in fact, existed on Mars.
Is there evidence that life could possibly exist on Mars? What evidence is there?
So lately they've found traces of methane in the atmosphere, which seemed larger than they expected. On Earth, 90% of the methane that's emitted is from living life forms. So this is an indication that there could possibly be some forms of life on Mars now, although there could also be other reasons for this methane. So that's just one example. Having people on Mars, of course, will be a huge step forward in terms of the kind of research that can be done, because at the moment, of course, there's only equipment out there. But I think it's probably more likely that life did exist previously on Mars rather than possibly still existing now.
Yeah.
But that's one of the fascinating questions that we'll try to answer.
Yeah. Adriana Marais, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
Thank you very much.
Right. Adriana Marais there has applied to go and live on planet Mars. Now, let's take a look at some of your social media and technology news. South Africans in social media have been celebrating the Springboks' win over Wales in Mbombela yesterday. It was a close 31-30 scoreline for that match. Many in social media are not happy with this image. It's a man waving the apartheid South Africa flag in the stadium. The Boks win was consolation for the under-20 loss to England on Friday. They were playing in the Junior World Championships final. The loss means the Baby Boks are the runners-up of that tournament. To fight tribalism in Kenya, the hashtag #TribeKenya is trending in the East African country. This comes after some politicians suggested that the killings of many by Al-Shabaab are political. Politics in Kenya is often divided along ethnic lines. Hashtag #TribeKenya is the citizens' method of staying united through this difficult period. Right, that's what some of you guys have been doing in social media. We've come to the end of our show now. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. We leave you with a video of the world's longest art museum in Sweden. The country's underground train stations are famous for looking like great works of art, transforming high-tech spaces into welcoming environments. You can find the video on YouTube. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Have a good one.